welcome everyone. First and foremost, there are spoilers in this vid, but I'm assuming if you're searching for Diablo 3 content this far before release, you don't mind a spoiler or two. If not, you might want to switch off now. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's talk about acts and the pace of gameplay and story in Diablo 3. The first act consists of 6 zones. A zone is not simply a place or a waypoint, it is a collection of areas that are designed to take roughly the same amount of time to complete and hold the same amount of story content. So we've seen the first 2 of these zones in their entirety in the beta, that of Tristram and the Cathedral. In Diablo 3 we actually see New Tristram, a simple town that has been built by merchants after the demise of Diablo some years ago. In the game you'll start just outside the town of New Tristram. If you get into the beta, you'll be able to play through all the zone content of Tristram and the Cathedral in full. For a little bit more info on the beta, you should check out my previous video on how to download the beta client. Alright, let's continue. So, the remaining zones are the Cemetery, the Fields, the Highlands, and the Halls of Agony. So we've only really seen gameplay from the first third of the first act. Act 2 consists of 5 zones. The first is Caldeum. Caldeum is the largest trading city in the world of Sanctuary, and should prove to be much more of an extravagant experience than that of Tristram. The following zones in Act 2 are Stinging Winds, the Dalgar Oasis, Desolate Sands, and the Archive of Zoltan Kulle. Act 2 will be based in and around the city of Caldeum, with some dungeons even within the city, and many quests to be achieved outside the walls in its surrounding deserts. Act 3 will consist of 4 zones, being the Depths of the Keep, Bastion's Keep, Field of Slaughter, and the Araret Crater. You may have noticed that the number of zones in each act is diminishing by 1 in each subsequent act. Blizzard has informed us that they particularly liked the pace of Diablo 2. Whether it was unintentional or not, the storyline increased with speed and intensity, and they wanted to maintain that pace in Diablo 3. Not too much is known at this stage about Act 3, but judging solely by the names of these zones, the Field of Slaughter, the Depths of the Keep, and Bastion's Keep itself, the story is certainly starting to accelerate. So Act 4 will consist of, you guessed it, 3 zones. Early speculation had it that this act will be based in the Heavenly location. In the background are screenshots leaked from 2005. It would certainly not surprise me if it was set there, but then again it's been 6 years and we've been through many changes, including a few changes of internal developers and designers. So it also wouldn't surprise me if Heaven didn't make an appearance. But judging by the names of the zones, Garden of Hope and Silver Spire, it sounds rather promising. So you can see clearly below, with the diminishing zones per act, there will be an accelerating gameplay and storyline experience. And with 4 acts consisting of 18 zones in total, 2 of which zones are in the beta and taking roughly 1 to 2 hours to complete, this means I'd expect the average first time Diablo 3 player who isn't rushing to take upwards of 12 hours to complete normal mode. Okay, so if you don't feel like I've really spoiled anything for you yet, I've got something else. So based on what has been data mined from the beta client, we are not sure who the Act 1 boss will be. However, in Act 2 the final boss will be Belial, Lord of the Lies, and because of that the Act 2 storyline will be, and I quote, a little bit more of an intrigue and deception focused story because Belial is in there. That was from an interview with Jay Wilson. So skipping over Act 3 for a second, we have the Act 4 boss. We all know this to be Diablo. He's back, and he's going to kick all of our asses at least once. So knowing that, and that both of the lesser evils Belial and Azmodan are to be in the game, it's my guess that Azmodan will be the Act 3 final boss. Or maybe Act 1, but that's unlikely. So we also recently heard that Blizzard was to release 2 Diablo titles in the next 3 years. And funny enough, there's an Act 5 reserved in the game client. Additionally, there's also an Act 6. Now I have no idea who those bosses will be, and I'm not even sure Blizzard's lore writers know themselves yet. I do however have some evidence that these acts will certainly exist at some stage, but I'll bring that to you very soon in a separate video. So talking of future videos, I've got a few good ones planned and we'll get them to you very soon, so I suggest that you subscribe and stay tuned. If you're watching this video a little while after it's released, you can click on the annotation below, bringing you that next video in the data mining speculation series. And the video on the left is one about the beta and how to download the beta client, which I alluded to before. So last thing, a disclaimer. What has been data mined from the client is almost certain to change before final release, and dramatically too. Some information will stay the same, most will not. As an example, if you replay this video, you'll see that Bastion's keep appears in both Acts 3 and 4 as a zone. That is not likely to be the case at all. Even if there is an overlap in storyline, the zones will not be called the exact same thing, and you won't be visiting the exact same thing. Blizzard just wouldn't do that. Or maybe they would. Or maybe they wanted to hide something. Bastion's keep doesn't really fit in the 4th act. Maybe they're hiding their heavenly zone. Food for thought.